Hi, welcome to Senior Savvy. I'm Jane Wells, your host for today's show. Senior Savvy is brought to you by the Oshkosh Senior Center, where it's our mission to enrich the quality of life for adults ages 50 and older. Now, if you've been around the Senior Center, and I've talked about this before, you know we've had a lot of construction over the summer, and so we weren't able to do all of our events that we typically like to do. And fall, we love to have parties at the Senior Center, and so I am happy to introduce a new event we have coming up, and it is called Oktoberfest on the Fox. And let me just tell you a little bit about it. So it will be on Thursday, September 15th during the daytime from about 9 till 2 p.m. And we have quite a wide variety of things happening at the center. We are going to have rickshaw rides available along the Fox River, and Carol Kaufman is going to be bringing in her history of laundry. She has an exhibit that she travels statewide, countrywide with, all about laundry and the machines and the different things that go along with it. That will be on display at the Senior Center. We also have the Oshkosh Memorabilia Club stopping in and having a few items on display. Dick Campbell is going to come by and do a presentation on the history of the Klondike Gold Rush. And of course, you know, we're going to have some s'mores around the campfire. That's one of the things we've missed from our summer events. What would Oktoberfest be without polka music, a cornhole tournament, and an ice-cold root beer? We'll have brats and sauerkraut and all those other fun things to go along with Oktoberfest on the Fox. So please put it on your calendar. Thursday, September 15th, the League of Women Voters is going to be there, and we're going to tell you a little bit more about that in just a moment. But from 9 till 2 p.m. at the Oshkosh Senior Center, Thursday, September 15th. Hope to see you there. Mark it down. All right, today's show is very important. As we all know, it is an election year, and some of the voting rules have changed, or the laws have changed. So I am very pleased to have a representative from the League of Women Voters, and some of you might recognize her because she's been around the city just a little bit. So I would like to welcome Kathy Propp. Hi, Kathy, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Sure. So why don't you just start off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
About myself, well, I've been involved with the League of Women Voters for many, many years because I think it's really important. It has informed me about local issues, state issues, and national issues, and I enjoy hosting candidate forums and educating voters.
So what role have you played in the past within this city?
I'm being shy.
I know, I was trying to, you know.
Well, people recognize me because I was on the city council, elected to the city council for 16 years.
That's a long
and
time. Thank you
from
for that
1984 to 1986, I was mayor. And
Wonderful.
it so happened I was mayor when Reagan came to town. I was just thinking about that the other day.
Oh, what a cool
and
experience.
Then I've spent a lot of time on the Plan Commission, so people might see me there.
Well, thank you. But like you said, today you're representing the League of Women Voters.
Yes.
What exactly is that?
The League of Women Voters is going on 100 strong years. We grew out of the suffrage movement. And in 1920, when the women gained the right to vote, League of Women Voters of the United States was founded, and so was the League of Women Voters of Oshkosh.
Okay. So the
Right
same
away.
year.
We had an
Interesting.
early,
Wow.
Jessie Jack Cooper, early suffragette, did that for us. And what is the League of Women Voters? It's a nonpartisan organization. It was formed initially to educate women about issues so that they could vote well.
Right.
And often they educated their husbands. I thought I did that, but
Sure, because
anyway.
back in the day, back when they didn't have the right to vote, I'm sure that they weren't educated as well as they should have been, or, you know, that they
Well,
just weren't
they
aware
just-
because it didn't apply.
They wanted to make their vote count.
Right.
So, but now we have both men and women are full members of the league, age 16 or older.
Oh, wonderful.
That just changed. We have two roles, which sometimes confuses people. Our first role that we're talking about today is voter education. Educating voters about issues through meetings, forums, candidate forums, educating about candidates. We never support or oppose a political party or a candidate.
You're there.
And
just to
educating
kind
voters about how to vote. And that's what we're doing today. But we have another role, which is to study these key issues, as we have done for 100 years. Study the issues, take consensus of our members, arrive at a position, and then lobby for that
interesting.
position
Okay, sure.
at the appropriate level.
Sure.
So,
no, I just want to go back to something you said, because you said people as young as 16 can be involved. Do you have many youth involved?
We have a few young people, but few students, but not that young. That rule just changed at our national convention.
Wonderful. So if somebody, we're going to just quick talk about this. If somebody would want to become involved, what do they do, or where do they go?
They can go to lwvwinnebago.org, which is our website.
The League of Women Voters.
The
right.
League of Women, LWV.org, and that's our League of Women Voters of Winnebago County website. And on that website is a phone number, Ann Marshall's phone number. She's our co-president.
Yes.
And information, various buttons on how to join.
So if somebody just feels passionate about this, or wanting to become a little bit more involved, that's what they would do. Is they would just go to that website and then read about how to get involved there and contact somebody from the organization.
Right, and we also have lunches on the second Wednesday of every month at Primo Restaurant.
Okay.
So if you just remember second Wednesday, Primo Restaurant,
Sure.
and then you can look on our website again for the calendar, what the speaker is. And
okay.
go
Well,
from there.
interesting. Great. So we're on Senior Savvy, which is associated with the Oshkosh Senior Center. And, I just talked about Oktoberfest on the Fox. And the reason that you're here today is because the League of Women Voters is going to be at Oktoberfest on the Fox. So we're thrilled to have you there, and helping seniors know what they need to know before the election.
Yeah, and so why are we there, you might ask? the viewer might ask.
Yes.
And that's because we are undertaking an intensive campaign this fall before the November 8 election. We can help register voters. There are about a dozen of us that are certified by the Oshkosh City Clerk to register voters within the city of Oshkosh limits. And we can help people that live outside the city limits fill out the application. We can tell them where to vote, how to send in their application. We can help people with absentee ballot applications and issues, and we can help with questions about the voter ID.
Okay, I'm just going to actually go back just a minute to when you're going to be at the Oshkosh Senior Center, because you are going to be there on Thursday, September 15th for our Oktoberfest on the Fox, and you'll be there from about 9 to 2, and that will be in the South Building. But then you are also going to have a second presence in September, on September 29th. And kind of around our eat and greet lunch. So you'll be there as early as 10:30, and then you're going to be in the North Building for that, and then you're going to pack up and move over across the parking lot to the South Building. So 2 times in September, you're actually going to be at the Senior Center, sharing information, helping people to register, and be involved with trying to make the connection with that senior population. Wonderful. So what are the new laws for voting, or what's the big deal about this election?
Well, we know what the big deal about the election is.
What else is
the presidential election and the down ballot U.S. senator and U.S. representative and all that are very, very important. They always are. But then primaries are important too. Every election is important.
There you go.
The big deal is that we're passionate about the right of every voter to be able to vote. And so we want to remove as many barriers as possible, and there have been a few barriers placed by recent legislation. So if you want to wait until November 8 to go to the polls, you may register at the polls and vote at the same time. But there will be long lines.
Yes, you and I.
So we are encouraging people, and that's why we're having this conversation, to start now, start thinking.
Right.
About are they registered?
Right. We would highly encourage people to be proactive and register before the actual election date.
Absolutely.
And not because, like you said, we're anticipating very long lines. The center is a polling station, and we anticipate that there will be lots of long lines for people. But if people can advocate for themselves and get registered. So tell us a little bit about that. So they can register at the polls, but they can also then register at the Senior Center when you are there.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Or they can register at City Hall right now during business hours at the clerk's office. But Senior Center is more convenient for them, and they'll have fun along with it. So
right. So what if I don't remember if I'm a registered voter or not? What if it's been a while since I voted?
Yes, if you haven't voted regularly, You can go yourself to myvote.wi.gov, and that's the state website that administers elections. And with just put in a little information about what your address is and who you are, and you'd be amazed what pops up on that website. It gives your voting history. It can tell you the last time you voted.
Oh, interesting.
And it can tell you where you voted, what your polling place was. So if you've moved and you're not quite sure what your address was when you were registered, this will tell you.
Right.
And it'll tell you if you need to change your registration, because if you have moved, even if you're in a residence hall and move across the hall to a different room, you need to register again.
Okay. And
so we can look that up.
I was
for
just going to say,
people
if
at
I'm
the
not
senior
very
center.
tech savvy, that's one of the things that you can help people do when they come.
Right.
And at the senior center and stop at your booth, you can actually go to MyGov.
myvote.wi.gov.
There we go. And check out just to see if they are indeed registered and where their polling place was and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So if I wanted to register, what kind of documentation do I need? Because that's part of where this is all going, right?
Right.
Something has changed with this election.
You've always needed an acceptable proof of residence, and so that's what you have to bring. If you want to register to vote at the senior center with us, bring an acceptable proof of residence. Well, what is that?
Right.
Well, it could be your driver's license or your voter ID if it has your address on it.
Okay.
The correct address. Could be a utility bill, a paycheck, a bank statement, a hunting license, a check from the IRS or from the Wisconsin Revenue Department.
So the biggest thing you're looking for, though, is verification that they actually live where they say they're living, where
and
they're
the
residing.
other thing we always ask, we need to fill it out on the registration form, is their driver's license number. And so if you have a driver's license, active one, bring it. If you have a state ID, bring that.
Okay.
It will have a number similar to the driver's license number. And if you don't have that, then we can use the last 4 digits of your Social Security number.
So what if my driver's license has the wrong address on it?
Then you can't use that to register.
Just for your proof of residence.
For
Then you
proof
need to
of
have one of
residence.
those other documents that we talked about, your utility
Right. Your driver's
bill.
license will, even if it doesn't have the right address, will serve as a photo ID. But that's another topic in a minute.
Right. Okay. So again, they need something that proves that they live where they say they do.
Right.
And then other services that you can help. So you said that you can help go online just to check to see if they're a registered voter.
Right, and we can tell them what their polling place is,
Right.
and whether or not they are in the city of Oshkosh. We can help with that
Okay.
if they're in Winnebago County.
Okay. And then too, if they need help in filling out their registration form, you can actually help with that, correct?
Well, we can actually do it.
You can
We're
actually do it.
certified to sign, and then we have responsibility to deliver it to the city clerk's office ASAP.
Okay, so they don't even have to worry
No,
about getting
not
it in
if
the mail.
they-
That is
not if
all
they're within the
taken
city
care
of Oshkosh. But if, let's say, they live in the town of Algoma, and they come in, we can still help, and we'll provide them an envelope, a stamped envelope with the town of Algoma clerk's address on it, so that we can put that in the envelope for them and submit it to the correct clerk.
Wonderful. So, gosh, and what a great service that you're offering to get people registered ahead of time, and so that they don't have to wait in the long lines and to muddle through some of the stuff that can be confusing or intimidating. When you're first going through the process, or when you haven't gone through it in quite a while. So another thing that we've talked about, because we do anticipate long lines, or there are seniors we know that don't get out and aren't very mobile. So what options do they have for voting?
You can vote absentee, and you don't need an excuse to vote absentee.
There you go.
You used to have to say,
Okay.
well, I'm ill or something, but you don't. You can vote absentee because you want to vote absentee.
Okay.
And whether you're active in the community at any age or if you're a senior. And we can help with that at the Senior Center. We will have applications for absentee ballots.
Okay, so they could fill out the application for the absentee ballot those
and
days
do it
in
then,
September.
And then again, we submit that to the city clerk, and at the appropriate time, the clerk would mail them their ballot.
Okay.
And then they'd have to fill it out with a witness and mail it back in.
And does the witness need to be anybody special or
No,
legal, or it just,
I don't think so.
you know, who's ever sitting next to you and
I
says,
think
yep, I
so.
saw you sign that and I saw you vote. Okay.
Right. But then there's the option of voting early at the Oshkosh Convention Center for city residents. That starts, I think it's October 24, the Monday, 2 Mondays before the election. And during business hours, city clerk and poll workers will be there for voting, for early voting in the city of Oshkosh. I don't know if the towns or adjacent towns have any early voting or not.
Well, what a wonderful service. It helps to break down some of the congestion that we anticipate. Do you have to be a registered voter to vote absentee ballot?
Oh, yes.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So
the first thing you need to do is be registered.
Sure.
Then worry about how you're going to vote.
That's
and when.
right. Exactly.
But you can, we could submit both applications at the same time. The registration application, completely filled out, and the request for an absentee ballot can go into the same envelope at the same time.
Wonderful.
So, so that need not be a problem.
Wonderful.
The other thing, if one is indefinitely confined, let's say you're not very mobile, you just can't. It's so difficult to get out of the house.
Sure.
And let alone go to the polls. You don't need to do that. You can, when on your absentee ballot request, you can say, I'm indefinitely confined.
Okay.
Which means it's hard for me to get out.
Right.
I always want to get an absentee ballot, is what this request says.
Oh,
so you
okay.
can be
So for
on
every
a
election,
permanent
okay.
absentee ballot list, and you will always get the absentee ballot. And you don't have to
Wonderful.
keep worrying about applying and applying and applying. So you can do that, and we can help you with that process too.
So if I were coming to get my absentee ballot, do I need other different things than what I would to register to vote? Do I have to show
You have to have
photo
a photo ID.
Okay.
That brings up the voter photo ID. Now that is relatively recent legislation. There's been a flurry of lawsuits that have come and gone, and gone. But at this point, for the November 8 election, you will need a valid photo ID. And now this can be, there's a list of photo IDs.
Right. Right, exactly. So
this can
what
be
exactly qualifies as a valid
driver's license or an identification card that does not need to be active. If you just have your picture, it works.
Okay.
There are a number of other things, college ID card, military ID cards have been added to the list, passports, a number of things will serve as a photo ID, because the point is they need a photo. The poll worker needs a photo.
Sure.
It doesn't have to have your current address on it. That's not, current address is for registration.
Right.
And that's where it gets confusing.
Sure. Right. But if you've registered and your address is current on your registration, then they know that you're good to go to vote.
Right,
So,
but then I've been registered for years, but when I get to the polls, I will have to show my photo ID.
Right, so what happens if you don't drive and you're not a college student anymore? Is there some place where seniors can go to get a photo ID?
You can go to the Department of Motor Vehicles, and that's what you need to start with now.
Okay.
You can get yourself a state ID card. If you don't have a driver's license, don't anticipate getting one, do that tomorrow.
Right. And so so I would just call the Oshkosh DMV or just show up?
You can show up, make sure that they're open during open hours.
Yes.
And again, you need to bring proof of residence. You need to bring something that says who you are.
Right. Social Security card would be a good option for something like that, I'm sure. Or
yes, you need your Social Security, and you need several documents. Your Social Security number, some original documents that prove your name and date of birth and who you are, U.S. citizenship, and Wisconsin residency. So we, on the League of Women Voters of Wisconsin website and on this myvote.wi.gov, there are lists of things you need to bring to the Department of Motor Vehicles to get your Wisconsin ID card.
Okay. And that's so that you meet the requirement of having a photo ID.
Right, so for a photo ID. But there are people that, for some reason, haven't got a birth certificate. Older people.
Sure.
They were born somewhere else, or there was a fire in the courthouse, or who knows. But but they just simply can't get a birth certificate or some other proof.
Right.
Then there is a new wrinkle through lawsuits and whatnot that you may go and get a temporary ID.
Okay.
You can sign an affidavit that you are unable to provide some of these documents, and at the Department of Motor Vehicles, and get your photo ID.
Okay, it's a lot to take in. No, but it is a lot to take in. So your presence at the senior center, if a person, you can check to see if they're a registered voter. If they're not a registered voter and they have the right documentation, you can register them to vote.
Right.
You could also register them to do an absentee ballot.
Right.
And then, again, you can go on that website and check all that stuff for them. You can help them fill out the application and get it submitted where it needs to get submitted. And this all comes down to, in order to vote, you need a photo ID.
Yes,
and
then we can work through the maze of information with them individually,
which is
about
so wonderful.
How to get, what do you need to get a free photo ID?
Right.
And we can talk to them about what they have and what they don't have, and look at this long list.
Right. Well, and that's important to mention too, is that it is a free photo ID. It doesn't cost them anything to go get the photo ID.
No, it doesn't. And they need, when they do go to the DMV, they need to say, I want this ID for voting purposes.
Okay.
And then that will ensure that it's free.
Okay.
But we can talk to them about that too. I think really best to come visit our booth.
Right.
And we've given them a lot of information today.
Yes,
but we can talk about their specifics.
Right.
And then they will walk out. We have these little cheat sheets that we can fill out for them. My polling
what
place
information
is,
does that all?
What my polling place is, what I will need to bring along to register to vote, what I will use for a photo ID, and if I have questions, my clerk's contact information is.
Oh, very helpful.
And so we can give them this little cheat sheet here.
Sure. But again, we would definitely encourage people to take advantage of your presence at the senior center and register ahead of time and not to wait until the election day.
Yes, yes. And we will be out in the community at other places too, farmers markets and at residential facilities around the Evergreen, Bella Vista, the Housing Authority residences.
Wonderful.
And at the Senior Expo.
Yes, and that's coming up in October. So again, okay, so if I need to register to vote, then I need a proof of where I live.
Right.
And that's the cable bill, that's the bank statement, something mailed to my home that has the correct address on it.
Something official.
Something official. It can't just be junk
Not
mail.
a letter from your mother.
Darn. And that's just to get registered to vote. And then you would help everyone right through that process from beginning to end, including getting it to where it needs to be or getting that packed up in an envelope so they can just drop it in the mail. And then it is then we've also talked about, okay, so now you're registered and it's time to vote and it's election day, and your options are to become to do an absentee ballot, to vote ahead of time. You said it starts 2 Mondays prior to the election, and that would be at the Oshkosh Convention Center, but that would be strictly for City of Oshkosh residents, correct?
Right.
Yep. And then voting day itself, they need a photo ID of some type.
Right.
Wow. I think did I follow all that and have it all
You
right?
did. You did
I
beautifully.
did. Awesome. So why don't we just give those websites one more time, the MyGov website, and I apologize, and the League of Women Voters website too.
Okay. Best website for your information is the myvote.wi.gov.
And I did go on that after you and I spoke and looked myself up, and I'm good to go.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it is.
Because it gives you your voting history.
Yes.
And it reminds you that you forgot to vote in the primary 2 years ago.
Right, right.
Oh.
Yes.
And so that's got all the information about all this that we've been talking about. You can also go to the State League of Women Voters website, which is lwvwi.org.
Okay.
And that has, on the homepage, has various buttons to refer you to these websites.
Wonderful.
And to the photo ID
Yep.
leaflet and proof of residence leaflet and all this.
Great. Polls are open on Election Day from
7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Wonderful. And again, the dates you're going to be at the Senior Center are Thursday, September 15th, and then Thursday again, and I believe it is September 29th. And
Right.
you'll be there for our soup lunch or our eat and greet. Kathy, thank you so much for coming on the show and for all of your work you do around this. It's mind-boggling sometimes to listen and to pull it all together, but thank you for offering this service of helping people know what to do ahead of time and to get things all lined up so that they can vote, because that's really important.
We always say, vote, it counts.
That's right, exactly. Thank you again. So now I'd like to share with you some other things that are coming up at the Senior Center, because we don't only have Oktoberfest happening in September, but we have lots of other fun things happening as well. All right, so we have a new bar fitness class, and that is to help build the core muscles, to help with falls prevention, and that is made possible by a grant from the Oshkosh Area Community Foundation. Powerful Tools for Caregivers is coming up. If you are in a caregiving situation, it's very stressful, and we have found that caregivers need resources and tools to help give back to themselves. Estate planning, your grandchildren as beneficiaries. Maybe your adult children don't need the help anymore from you, and you would love to leave things to your grandchildren. Thursday, September 22nd at 1 o'clock p.m. And lastly, in October, we do have the flu clinics coming up. Valley Senior Services will be coming in to do our flu shots, as well as Walgreens. So just check our newsletter for those dates. And I think that wraps it up for September. And thank you so much for watching Senior Savvy, and we hope to see you on Thursday, September 15th. Come on down for our Oktoberfest celebration or any of our other things. Thank you. Have a great day.